Welcome back to the Hardballgets AFL show. It is the quick 9 for another week, or quick 6 as the case may be this week. My name's Chris Robinson, joined by Jackson Barrett in the studio and Jake Colvin from his new home in Richmond, Victoria. 3121. Jake, Jackson, how you doing, guys?
Good, Robbo. Hello, Jake.
Oh, hello, boys. I missed you so much already. I thought you can't get rid of me so easily. I begged Michelle to keep me on for another week. So pending that this goes well remotely doing this podcast, and hopefully I get a few more in me. But no, it's bitterly cold in Melbourne, boys, and I'm taking a pretty tough time to adjust to it all, I think.
4 seasons in one day, though, I think they say over there. So it might come around.
No, just 11 degrees and raining. So
one painstakingly cold season. Yep. Now, Jake, I'd put together a bit of a list just to commemorate, to celebrate you moving over there. A bit of a Mount Rushmore, if you will, of Port Adelaide figures who found great success after moving to the East Coast. Do you want to hear my list of 4 here?
Sure, mate.
So
number 4, Stuart Dew. Only played 26 games for Hawthorn after crossing over, but obviously just one that really counts. Number 3, Tom Harley. 1 game for Port Adelaide, then became a 2-time premiership captain at Geelong. Number 2, Sean Burgoyne, 4 flags all up, 400 games, obviously a great at Port and even greater after making the move, as I'm sure you will be as well. Any guesses as to number 1?
No, enlighten me.
Got it.
What are you
Can't
going
think
with?
off the top of my head. I'm disappointed in myself.
Buckley?
N. Buckley? No, it wasn't N. Buckley. It's a really good shout, though.
Yeah, thanks.
Really
Wasn't he Sandful Port Adelaide, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Us?
Sorry.
Yeah, he could have absolutely made this list. Barnaby French almost made it.
The great Carlton and Port Adelaide.
Matthew Lobe almost made it. But number 1, David Kosh, the king of breakfast TV,
good.
went over there and absolutely dominated. So, mate, I'm sure you will do exactly the same in your new surrounds.
I knew something was up when Sean Burgoyne's AFL tables were on your computer at work.
And Josh Marnie went from Port Adelaide to Melbourne as well, so that's another one.
It's not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. Should we get straight into the games?
Let's do it.
So Friday night footy, no Thursday night footy this week. How flat, honestly. I really felt like we could keep that going.
I don't know if I'm on an island here, but I was sick of it. I wasn't getting up for Thursday games like I was earlier in the season. Yeah,
Were you watching them?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all
I always get to the line, but I just wasn't. It wasn't that Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm pretty close to footy like I was earlier in the season.
It definitely does make it easier to plan your tipping fantasy week without the Thursday. That's one thing I'll give it. But
teams tonight, games tomorrow.
Would have been a great.
I agree, Jacko. Those that are still trying to get a kick in, whether it be Ammo's footy or at a higher level, you can't actually watch the Thursday games. And you have to rely on updates throughout training. Well, not that I did that because I was professional, but a lot of people were relying on the assistant coach with a phone to give them a little score or betting update a lot of the time.
Anyway, the game is Brisbane St Kilda on Friday night. And
isn't it another ripper?
Let me hit you with a bit of trivia off the top because this game's not particularly interesting. We know that Jack Crisp is the current consecutive games holder at the moment with 227 straight games, but Christian Petrarca has just gone down. He was in second with 145 straight games. Who is now in second, plays for Brisbane, and he's behind Jack Crisp with 130 straight games. Any guesses?
I'm going to go with Harris Andrews.
Negative. Jacko?
I think I remember Harris Andrews' injury last year. I'm thinking, is it a Hugh McCluggage?
It's not. It's an answer that surprised me, and it sounds like it's going to surprise you guys as well. Charlie Cameron hasn't missed a game since 2018.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, remarkably consistent. Jake, can you make the case for St Kilda here, or is this just open and shut with Brisbane after their return to form last week?
Well, first and foremost, this is the Brett Voss Cup.
Yes.
So they'll be playing for a high reward.
For Mr. and Mrs. Voss.
We've got niche today, haven't we?
We have. We'll wait until the other games. I really liked what I saw from Brisbane, and as the boys said on the podcast earlier in the week, it did look like the Brisbane that we knew from last year. St Kilda's recent form doesn't fill me with any confidence. At the Gabba, which hasn't been a great venue for Brisbane, weirdly, this year, but they'll get the job done, and I think they're going to do it handsomely.
Jacko, really quickly, does Windhager get Neil from the bounce?
I think you have to keep doing it.
Keep rolling with
doing it really, really well.
Yeah, really hard to make a case for the Saints there. Saturday, Bulldogs and Freo. Geez, a really familiar matchup. These teams have met a lot in the past couple of years. Jacko, you're at the airport today. We're recording on a Thursday. Before we know the teams, what's the latest from the Freo camp heading over east?
So pretty stable. Justin Longmuir said yesterday that the key over the next few weeks will be having a bit of a stable forward line, and it looks like he's got it. So Corey Wagner of the 23 that played in Alice Springs, he's the only one that isn't flying to Melbourne today. Carl Warner is in, so he's kind of like the like for like if they wanted to go with that half back for the sub. Jordan Clark was very late for his flight, by the way, so gave me a bit of a fright for a little while, but he did get there before the 12:20 flight is.
Reasonably important part of what they've been doing.
He left it pretty late, and Matt Johnson's in as well, so he was managed out of the D's game. So that stable forward line that includes Banfield and Sturt, and obviously Tracy and Amos with the Smalls who returned to a bit of form. That looks like Longmuir will get that at least this week, and I'm sure for his sake he'd love to see that over the next couple of weeks. I think it's a better looking forward line as well with Switkowski and Frederick and Walters in there. I think it's a big part of why Walters looked good in Alice Springs is because he had both of those other two guys to do the up and back
They're
stuff.
the connection piece kind of. Right, yeah. Jake, who do you like? Dogs, Freo? You flipping a coin?
This is a bit of a coin flip because you don't know what you're going to get from the Western Bulldogs. I'm going to go with Freo just based on a bit more of consistent form. But again, tipping Freo doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence either. But yeah, I just didn't like what I saw from the Bulldogs last week. Albeit they were coming off a pretty long run and no bye either. I think they were the only team that hadn't had one. So they did look a bit tired, but I'm just going to go with Freo. I feel a bit more safe tipping them.
There's a real watch on, and as I say, most people listening to this will know the teams, but Cody Waitman is maybe in, maybe not. If he's not there and you're missing probably three of your best four forwards in Waitman, Norton and Darcy, that's a big swing. So I feel like they need him.
And at the other end, it's Alex Keith out as well. So no Jed Bustling, a debut confirmed at this stage. He's in the mix at this point, but Alex Keith's a big out as well. They're pretty thin in the key position stocks.
Huge. I'm on Freo with you, Jake. Jacko, you making a clean sweep?
I'll take Freo. You'll learn later in hardballgets that not confident enough to tip them, even though they are to punt on them, even though they are the slight underdog. But I'll take them tipping wise.
Yes. Saturday afternoon, Richmond and Hawthorn, the Dusty 300 game. I don't mind the Tigers here. I know Hawthorn are rocking and rolling, but obviously Richmond returned to a bit of form last week. Had a look through their side for this one. So Dion Prestia comes out, but Tom Lynch and Dusty back. They're probably going to have 12 premiership players in this game. So they've plus Taranto, so they've got a really good spread across each line. They've sort of got that. I felt watching them against Adelaide, they sort of had that sort of fun arrogance kind of back a little bit, and I feel like that mojo is returning. So I reckon they're every chance here.
They do have that, but Hawthorn are kind of own the fun arrogance at the moment, and I've had a lot of fun watching it, and I'm leaning into them at the moment. I'm on the bandwagon. I reckon with Day and CJ, they've got their guys back. They've got their key guys in two super important areas. One's a ball winner that can go forward of the footy when they need, behind the footy when they need, and they've got their number one kind of run and use the footy guy. So I'm all in on Hawthorn at the moment. Their forward lines feels like it's going to be the last bit that comes together, but even that's kind of pretty fun to watch at the moment. There'll be a lift from Richmond in Dusty's 300.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no doubt.
And I kind of feel like the younger side stumble is also coming potentially at some point from Hawthorn. Jake, what's your take?
I think just with the occasion, as you guys mentioned just then, like Richmond haven't really had much to play for all year, but they've been competitive in the majority of their games, apart from that Bulldogs disaster about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But I think this is the game where Dusty Martin means so much to what Richmond is and their last 5 or 6 years. He's been pivotal to their success, and I think they will do everything within their power to get up for it. Taranto looked really good last week, first game back. He's really important to Richmond, and I'm tipping an upset, definitely.
Yep. So, Jacko, you're Hawks.
Hawthorn.
I'm Richmond.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get up for a Tyrone Vickery Cup, I think. But I think the Hawks will look after.
That was the one I was thinking of, Jacko. You got me.
Adelaide and Sydney is Saturday night, so it sounds like Brodie Smith's going to be dropped again. Probably know the teams by the time you're listening, but it sounds like Brodie Smith was slated to be dropped. Tex Walker probably coming back. So if he's not there, I had a look at their list. If he's not there, they've got one player with over 130 games experience, which is Rory Laird. So they are really, really thin on the ground for experience, Adelaide, and obviously tough, Jake, against the Sydney side where you at the moment have to do everything right just to threaten them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jack, I'll one up you there. This is the Martin Matner Cup. Everyone remembers the great halfback from back in the day.
We should do this every week. This is great.
We actually might. I think this is we've come up with something good here. Adelaide last week, I was talking to someone just about Adelaide's performance, and And apart from their obvious, good players like Dawson and, Laird is still a good player and a handful of others like Rankin who wasn't playing. But the young kids don't really fill you with much excitement. Dowling had his moments as that's been shown. But like Burgess, if you're relying on him to kick your goals, you're a bit nervous. Down back, I'm not totally sold on Hamill and a couple of those sort of raw young players down there. I think Strawn got injured as well, so they're probably going to have to bring back Riley O'Brien. I think this is going to be a pretty convincing win for Sydney, who just seem to be ticking every single box and every challenge. They were almost bored last week against Geelong. They go, let's see how far we can come from behind and get a win. They were down by, I think, 34 points at one stage. Mm-hmm. I don't think they don't mind playing at Adelaide Oval. And this is to be a simple, punch the ticket, get in and get out of Adelaide, and that's a win.
I think it gets messy if Tex doesn't play. Like, Tex is so important. Obviously, they need someone to be kicking goals, but it's like that contest for to the ball, and he's kind of the only, because that's not really Fogarty's go.
Yeah, they looked a bit rudderless, didn't they?
Yeah, so without like a Thilthorpe playing only one ruck, it being Strawn, who then got injured, or Brian out of form, they haven't had that guy sort of down the line, and Tex does that, obviously. So I think he would be a massive in if he plays. The 130 game stat is also a timely reminder of just how inexperienced Jordan Dawson is. As much as we love him and everything he brings them, like he's not even there yet. So I'll take the Swans pretty comfortably.
Yep, ditto. The first Sunday game is North Melbourne and Collingwood at Marvel Stadium. Jack,
Levi Greenwood Cup.
That was the one I had. Well done, Jacko.
That's very good. Jake, are you just cancelling your Sunday afternoon plans just to race over across town and get to this one?
Well, I was lucky enough to beat the Monday game, boys, and watching Collingwood when they're up and about live in person, it's a real treat. The Braden Maynard, when he ran through Fritsch, I think in the first quarter, at that stoppage, Fritsch was giving it to Maynard, absolutely hosing him, and you could see Maynard didn't want to cop that. And the noise it made when he ran through him was just unbelievable. And watching Collingwood in full flight, as I said, it just looks like they've turned a corner. The guys that they're relying on, even Kruger looked finally like he can really compete at that level. Yeah. And this is a really probably good opportunity to get north. Like every team is probably saying that they've got all these injuries, and this is the time Collingwood can just continue to take one step in front of the other and gain some form and some momentum and try and push for that top four, which I think they can still get there.
I was at a Collingwood game a couple of years ago against Melbourne, the Ed Langdon all duck no dinner game, and Braden Maynard and Jack Crisp at the first, like, ball spilled out to Langdon's wing at the first centre bounce. 85,000 have just gone ballistic, and there's two like genuine buffheads have just tried to bury Ed Langdon, and it's the loudest sporting crowd I've ever heard. And Monday looked much the same, and I think Collingwood more than anyone, it was like Showtime pies. Like, they just got up for it when the crowd's there, when the occasion's there, which I'm not sure it will be in the Sunday game at Marvel.
That's the danger with a game like this. It's a big come down.
It's a come down. Right? But I think they'll look after it, just like they did against the Eagles in a pretty similar spot a few weeks ago.
Give us a number. What's your margin?
50.
That 40. Good. Jake, number?
Yeah, I reckon about the 40-point margin. They won't absolutely smash them, but I think they'll. It'll definitely be over 6 goals.
And the final game of the round, GWS hosting Port Adelaide.
Have you got one?
I've got one.
I was going to say Chad Corns, but he's probably
Chad Corns.
The Chad Studley Corns Cup.
Dean Brogan.
Dean Brogan's good. Dean Brogan's the one.
Also, if anyone thought I was making that up, Chad Corns' genuine middle name is Studley. That's actually a 100% fact. Chad Studley Corns. That's his name. Go look it up. It's actually legit. Charlie Dixon sounds like he's going to be axed, which is the big news out of this game, Jacko.
Yeah, so Ollie Lord to come in. I mean, they just haven't got what they need out of Charlie Dixon, and where they are at the moment, they just need to have a bit of a look at something. So I think maybe the Tuesday or Monday boys have spoken about it, but you watch Charlie Dixon games or you watch Port games and you just don't feel like Charlie Dixon's going to tear the game apart, and they just need a guy like that at the moment. They don't really have it. Lord has had 10-minute patches in his first few games where he kind of has looked like that. So excited to have another look at him, as I'm sure you are, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. The Lord had a really good moment. He's coming off, I think he had a fracture in his tibia or something earlier in the year, but that semi-final against GWS last year at Adelaide Oval, Lord looked really threatening, and even in the final series, Lord as a whole was really good. I think they're going to lean towards Lord a bit more, and if they need to play Dixon, they'll play him out of necessity once he sort of gets his mojo back. But I think it's going to be hard for him to regain that dominant form that he did have a few years ago. This is going to be a really tough game for Port. GWS aren't going crash hot either, but I don't have a lot of confidence in Port rocking up to Giants turf and getting it done. I don't know what to expect from them week to week. Them and Bulldogs are in the same sort of boat for me, and that is really hard saying that as a Port supporter. But I'm really not sure how to go about this one. Rosie should be back. I think he's a test, and as is Rioli. So if those two get up, that gives me more confidence. But at the moment, I don't know what I'm getting week to week.
Giants $1.64 favourites with our friends at TABtouch. I feel like this is one of those ones from a betting perspective you just don't want to go near. I'll take the Giants with zero confidence.
Not touching that.
Jacko?
The same.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we'll let you get out of here. Thanks for your time and thanks to our listeners. Enjoy your weekend of footy. We'll chat to you next time.